strongly is a kind of a red tone to it, right? So again, if you want to, if it's it's desaturating for sure, right? It's moving away from that heavy saturation that you have on that with really high chroma, and leaning towards red. So if we wanted to pull these colors back towards gray, what would we do to our yellow? We'd have a little bit. We'd pull a blue in here. If you're picking up your tubes of paint, which yellow is this closer to, the cad or the naphtha? It's closer to the cad. Yeah. So if we wanted to get a color that was a little bit more gray here, we'd probably pick up the naphtha, yeah, or maybe even mix in a little bit of the phthalo blue-green shade as well too. Not a lot, because remember, yellow is a really puny color, right? You might actually end up with this really quickly, which would be fine, right? And then you'd probably get a really, right, if you mix that color with this, you'd probably get a really nice gray, right? Any questions?
Yeah, what is the difference between the three yellows?
Nothing. They're all the same yellow.
But they look very different with the yellow and the purple overlap.
Yeah, yeah. So if you painted this activity, right, the purpose of this activity is getting to these colors, right? So how many colors, when Mr. Albers made people do this particular composition, how many colors did he make them mix to get just this portion of it? 1, 2.
What's the difference between the three yellows?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing
Why do you
between
get
these
three
three
different-
yellows.
Why do you get three different colors?
That's my question.
These are the three different colors. Again, the purpose of the activity is to imply transparency of this color, right?
But something had to be done differently on the three horizontal.
Absolutely.
yellows.
What's the difference between,
So the
let's talk
in the
about it.
middle
What's the
is
difference between this,
proportion.
this, and this?
It's proportion.
Right, right. Which one has the highest proportion of yellow? Which one
It's
of
not
the,
one.
right? Which one has the highest proportion of white? Right. Which one has the highest proportion of this really lovely reddish purple? I'm not saying that just because you have a pullover. It's a really nice purple, I think. Right.
So the fact that I see that purple bar going up there is just deception.
It's an optical delusion. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Created by mastering the mixing of paints and understanding the relationship between tone and chroma. Yep. That would have been the purpose for Mr. Albers having people paint this particular. And again, same thing, right? All we are doing right here is giving the impression that this yellow is different from this yellow, is different from this yellow. But we can see, like, we'll just do it. I'll get the color checker out. I lost my cursor. Oh, it's not going to let me do it, is it? Because I'm in the middle of the presentation. Okay. Well, let's pause for a commercial break. I'm now realizing why I did set up on that side. It's weirder somehow to I don't know. Okay, but it is certainly easier. Come. Doesn't let me. Okay, it's not going to let me take my color checker to the other screen. Sorry, guys. I promise you, if I put my color meter over top of this yellow, this yellow, this yellow, this yellow, that every time I hit this, it would tell me it was the exact same yellow. That's the point. Okay. Let's jump back into our slideshow. Oh shoot, I did it again. Okay. I'm having technical difficulties this morning. Two-step process. All right, screw it. We'll just do it this way. Okay. Use the arrow key. All right. So is this even possible to mix this color and get that gray? Is it? given the tone of this and the
That
tone
purple
of that
looks too
yellow,
red.
is it possible to mix these two and get this color?
Obviously, the answer is no, but I don't have a clue why.
Okay, great. Let's learn. So this is a, remember when we were looking at, this image, and we talked about even though this blue is super, super, super saturated, when we took a picture of it, could actually see that tonally that blue is darker than the other colors, right? So this is a different way of looking at color in 3 dimensions that can show you that really chroma and tone are 2 very different dimensions. Like this is a super, super, super saturated green, right? And tonally, even though this lovely purple right down here is the most saturated purple that you could get, it is also tonally darker. It is, right? The tone is it's like an XY axis, right? It is darker, right, than this green, particularly with this particular yellow, right? So if we think about this yellow and this purple, that yellow and this purple, the midway point between them is, you know, going to be between, if you were to draw a line, imaginary line through the solid, would be somewhere in this area, right? But what I'm hoping you guys can see from this image is that we're actually moving which direction from purple? Are we moving this direction? Or are we moving that direction?
So it's straight
Yeah,
down.
we're moving darker, right? Anybody want to do the black and white thing again and see if I'm right? Right? So this is actually not possible unless you can start with that yellow and this purple, but getting this gray would involve of some other third color, or cheating with a little carbon black or something like that, right? So even though this is a super desaturated gray, and yellow and purple are, begins with C, complementary colors, right, that should move towards gray, to actually get this gray, a gray that's this dark, which is not the midway point tonally between these 2 colors, you would have to add something else to make it darker. How's it look? Yeah.
You can see it's too light on the end.
Yeah. Yep.
Can you
Yeah,
show us?
it's not a huge jump, but it is.
It's not a huge jump, but it's not a straight line, right? If you were to actually mix this purple and this yellow, it would not be all the same tone, because I think you guys can see, even without me taking, that's what I should have done probably, is put this purple and this yellow beside so you can see how different they are. But then you'd also see, like if I picked this purple up and moved it right here, you'd be able to see that this gray is slightly darker than this purple. So this is impossible. It's not impossible. It's impossible with 2 colors, only 2 colors. Any questions? Is everybody starting to get this color in 3 dimensions? I thought this was kind of interesting as well too.
I get it for short seconds, then it
Yeah,
goes away
right.
again.
So
Yeah,
I
well
think
said. Well
these
said.
these 2 images are kind of sort of communicating the same thing, right? Whoops, went too far. Right? That in addition to like understanding and being able to see which colors are have the highest chroma, that they also have, even when they are fully saturated, they also have a different tonal relationship to each other. I think this diagram kind of helps. You can see that like this green and that yellow is not completely saturated, but close, right? That green is super, super saturated. But tonally, it's also lighter, right, than any of the other. You know, you actually have to move down our color solid to start to get to kind of a saturated orange. This red's really nice. This purple right here is really, I shouldn't say really nice, right? But you can see that just because things are equal in chroma doesn't mean that they're equal in tone, right? They can be the same distance from the center of the solid and be indifferent, which is why I know in the first class I described it as a sphere, but that's not really true. It's more of a three-dimensional solid. Hopefully, and these will be in the slide deck, hopefully you guys can come back and refer to these at some point, but I think these can be useful diagrams to think about the relationship between chroma and tone.
A question?
Yeah.
I don't see how the outside, ring of colors relates to the other. Inside the outer ring, I can sort of see that as coming from.
Where are the darkest colors?
At the center,
Yeah, and where are the lightest colors?
outside.
Right, so we're moving from a tint to a shade in terms of tone, right? And what we're also seeing is that to have a purple that is tonally equal to a yellow, you have to have a lot more white in it. And vice versa, to have a yellow that is the same tone as this lovely purple right here, you end up with a lovely green brown. Which that could be a nice color in the right context, right? Maybe? No? Okay. That's never a color we look for. That's not a color that makes us happy in any way. Maybe.
So,
Yeah.
would you agree that the steps as you move out are anything but equal? That last step looks like a killer to me.
What do you mean, anything but equal?
The,
I would be willing to bet if you snapped a picture of this, it would be pretty close to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 grades.
I'm accepting that.
Yeah, okay.
But to go from 5 to 4, okay, that's a side.
Oh, some of the jumps are bigger than others? Yeah, I don't know if they're
From
all
2 to
equal
1, it
jumps.
just strikes me as enormous. Those outside colors are just insipid.
Well, I mean, you see it like right around here as well too. And again, that was one of the reasons that I wanted, I particularly like this